Welcome to the first episode of Controversial Topics. That's right, we're going to start off with a bang. We're going hard, taking off the handcuffs real early. Now, this topic is going to be the most controversial of them all, the most divisive. Hold on to your seats because we're going on a ride. And guarantee a lot of you guys are going to be, might be upset with me on this one, but politics. Why I don't get involved in politics, my viewpoints, and things that I've noticed. For me, a little backstory, I grew up as a Democrat. I'm from New York City, so most of people in New York City are Democrats. And of course, you got some Republicans and other parties involved, but for the most part, it's predominantly Democrat. And so, I follow Democrats, really didn't pay attention. I was too young to kind of know, but I remember Barack Obama was the next big thing as I got older. And was aware of the presidential election. The first black president everybody was raving about it. Everybody was talking about it. We finally got a black man in office. It's time to take over. And, it was one of those things where I was still young. I was like 13 at the time when it happened. So I was still not aware of how big of a deal it was. But as I got into college, that's when I started opening my mind to different political views. I've always been a middle of the road kind of guy. I don't really play sides too much in certain things, policies mostly. But I met a lot of people who were Republican, a lot of people who were Democrat, some people were conservative, libertarian, and it was very interesting to see the different perspectives. And but unfortunately, I've come to realize, especially as a now 25-year-old, that politics is a very touchy subject for a lot of people. Now, for instance, let's put it this way. So I moved from New York to LA August 2019. And there's a big difference. Big difference. New York, yes, it is predominantly Democrat. People are more stubborn, more stern, more forceful, but people are open-minded. People are willing to have these conversations. People like talking about the president, who they voting for, stuff like that. Have discussions, have debates. I've only been in LA for a small amount of time, but I can already tell you, oh my God, you can't have a conversation with most people about politics, especially if you're not a liberal. And it's the most mind-boggling thing I've ever had to deal with. And I'm gonna give you a little reason why I wanted to do this episode as politics. So a couple days ago, I was scrolling through Facebook at like 1 a.m. I just hopped up the video games, and I ran into a question a dude had on Facebook. It was so he said, I'm from San Francisco, and I am a Republican, and I already had trouble with my roommate who's a liberal. So what advice would you give for me if I wanted to move to LA? Would that conflict with a lot of people? And the comments were absolutely brutal to read. I mean, the things that people were saying was just astronomically wrong. And one of the things that stood out to me was how people say, come open-minded. Come prepared to learn, come prepared to learn different cultures and ideas and stuff. But at the same time, people saying this stuff, but then tell you, oh, if you're a Republican, that means you're a transphobe, you're racist like Trump, you don't deserve to be here, there's no place for you here. So it's just one of those things where you tell people to be open-minded, but you're not even being open-minded. You're just basically, you don't even know the guy, and you're already calling him names. And that's one of the biggest problems I have in politics, is that exactly mentality. But so it was this conversation I had with a girl. We Facebook messaged for a little bit because I had a hot take and she replied and she wanted to talk about it a little more. But what she said stung me. She said, if you come to LA, Los Angeles, and you're not a liberal, be prepared to be under fire, especially if you support Trump. Trump is a racist, he's a homophobe, he's a transphobe. He's an orange man who has white privilege. And if you come with those viewpoints, or you friends with anybody with those viewpoints, you're both scum of the earth. And it took me back for a second because I was like, politics really make people this crazy? People really don't have an open mind about this stuff? They really feel disheartened about it? And so I talked to her and I said, I don't have a problem with, I respect everybody's political views, and that's fine. My college, so when I graduated college, my closest buddy, Don, I consider him a brother. His family's my family at this point. Most of them are Republican. But, they're smart about it. They don't put nobody down. They're respectful. It is what it is. Nobody, just because someone supports Trump doesn't mean they're bad people. And I told her, I said, so as a black guy, if I like Trump, would that make me a racist? It was just one of those things where I had to have the conversation with her, because that was the problem I had, was that people just automatically judge you for your political views. You don't know him. Just because someone might like Trump don't mean that, they hate women, they hate gay people, they hate the LGBT community, they hate black people. That's a big assumption to have. And so that's why I wanted to talk about this. And so that's my first reason why I don't get involved in politics, because people are not open-minded. People are very stubborn. People are very hateful. The hate speech that I see when it comes to politics, and it's one of those things where it's funny. I'll tell people I don't hate Trump, because I don't follow politics. I use Twitter and I see what he say and stuff like that. But that's not a basis for me to hate the guy. Unemployment is at an all-time low. Besides, obviously, of course, before the pandemic, but unemployment was at an all-time low. Jobs are skyrocketing. That's what. Hey, I see that as a win. I think at some point we have to make the expectations unrealistic for presidents. But without losing track, it's crazy how people, they find out you like Trump or you're a Trump supporter, and they want to shoot you and your family. It's scary. It's disgusting to think about. And I get it. I understand, like, Trump saying things that are very questionable, very debatable, and very controversial. But that's no reason to assume everybody is just like him, And to say that you're friends with someone who supports him, you're a racist and you're all this stuff too, that's disgusting. Because if I turn around and say, if you associate yourself as a liberal, you're a snowflake and you're a crybaby. Next thing you know, I'm when I go to auditions and people find out I said this stuff, I'm sitting in the sidelines because nobody want to work with me. So it's one of those things where let's be respectful of each other. I know we all have different political views and stuff, but that's what makes America great, is that we all have the freedom to think, the freedom to speak. And that's why I want to have this podcast, because of stuff like this. So that's my take number one. My take number two about politics is that exactly what it is. It's a lot of bullshit that goes on. It's a lot of political backstabbing, a lot of money laundering, a lot of false hopes and securities, telling people what they want to hear just so they can vote you into office. They're not really looking out for the greater good of the people. And that's one of the benefits of, I would say, of having someone like Trump, who isn't a political leader. He is a businessman at first. He wasn't interested in politics. He just so happened to get involved and he won. So he's more concerned about the money aspect than he is about the political aspect. But politics is exactly what it is. A lot of nonsense going on behind the scenes, a lot of pushing agendas, and it's all ties down to the media, which would be my third, but I'm going to make this all into one. The media is the biggest hypocrite and the biggest provoker of them all. Think about it. I can tell you right now, off the top of my head, Fox News is a Republican-driven news company. Easy. Anybody who watches the news can say or notice that a lot of news broadcasters, they play a side. You'll see as you watch it. CNN is usually a little more Democratic. Fox News is, everybody knows they're Republican. And so you see how they take sides, and they take up for one person and then make the other person look like an evil villain. It's crazy how they'll make Hillary seem like an angel, and then make Billy Bob Thornton look like Satan himself. There's just, a weird example, but it's exactly what it is. They take things and they blow them out of proportion, and that's why I can't get involved with it. It's just like they always make one side look better than the other, or they make the other one look worse than the other. It's just like, what is the benefit of this? You just created more hate, and politics already has a lot of hate in it. Just look at the political candidates. A lot of things they do scumbaggy. I'm gonna blackmail you with this, or I'm gonna say this about you. So people are like, oh really? I don't want that. Let's bring him. And it's just a lot of nonsense. They give you a lot of false hopes, and they promise that they're gonna make everything great, and then you end up with a Barack Obama, and where people are still years after his leave from president, they're like, what has he done for us? And so it's one of those things where you have to take a step back and look, like, are they really looking out for the greater good for you? Or are they just trying to look out for themselves? And a lot of these people are just doing it for themselves, and I noticed that, and I'm just trying to educate everybody else to pay attention to that. So and what ties that into, I tell people, I don't hate Trump, and this drives people insane, especially because I'm a black guy. Mostly I'm a mixed man, but I am a dark guy. So my jokes are just as dark. I'll tell people, if you hate my viewpoints, you can pull a Kobe and burn. I know that was brutal and that was insensitive, but that's just the kind of humor I have. But when people find out I don't hate Trump, the first thing they ask is, "You're black. How can you like him?" And it's sad to say, but I get more hate from people in my community than I do from anybody else. And it's one of those things where, why would I hate the guy? I don't really follow politics that much. Yeah, I follow him. I don't follow him on Twitter, but I see his Twitter antics, and I read articles about him. But why would I hate him? I already know if I watch the news, a lot of things he does is very opinionated, very derogatory. They never paint him in a good light. He could save a homeless man from a burning building tomorrow, and the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, he was thinking about himself." I don't really follow the media too much, but I don't hate the guy because, again, I don't pay attention to politics. I can't hate the guy if I don't know the guy, and so I am aware of things that he's doing, things he's said, things he's done for this country. I'm not that much of a moron, but to say that he hasn't done anything for this country is a big reach. To say all these accusations, he's a homophobe, and he hates black women, he hates women, without any evidence, it's scary. It's a scary time that people are just lobbing up whatever offensive language they want to someone just because of his Twitter antics. Let's be real here. Even as human beings, a lot of us have said something. If the public knew about it, you'd be publicly shamed too. We all say things that aren't acceptable, but it is what it is. I mean, let's not be high angels here. Let's get off our high horse. None of us is perfect. We all say things that are offensive to someone. So are we all? Do we all deserve a verbal lashing? Do we all need public shaming? No. And yeah, I know some things he says it's out of left field, but I think as a human being, you can respect that he speaks whatever he wants. He's not following the company rule book. He's not saying whatever his associates tell him to say. He's being truthful. He's being himself, and I think that's very important. I think it's a nice change opposed to the stereotypical, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna wake up and sign some documents to get the people on their way and put smiles on people's faces and smile like his babies." But then you wake up to Trump saying, "We're gonna blow Korea up." So, take that as you will. I'm not gonna say you're right or wrong for feeling any kind of way about that. I just personally don't care. Life is too short, and that's just for me. I take everything on stride. Trump is president. You can hate him, but it's not going to kick him out of office any faster. So, which leads to my next thing too. Like I said, I'm a big troll, so I know a lot of people, especially in LA, are liberals. So when I say, I'm gonna be honest with you, Trump is gonna win again. A lot of them get upset about it, and I'm not saying that to, just to draw a reaction, which is primarily the big reason, but it's true. He's gonna win again. I mean, there's no other candidate right now who's, doing their job. Trump, especially with this pandemic, think about the unemployment, the stimulus check. A lot of people are grateful for that. So let's say next year, if we get hit with the second wave of the pandemic, people know this man gonna get the job done. We're gonna get some money coming in. So, that's a big influence. And so, it's one of those things where I'm just a realist. I'm a troll at the end of the day, but at the same time, I am a realist. I see what's gonna happen. I may be wrong. I'm not a mind reader, or I know the future, but Trump is gonna win again. And the only thing we can do is, if a better candidate ends up being him, hope for the best. For me especially, I love Ben Shapiro, and I love Steven Crowder, the Change My Mind guy, because a lot of times when they have these debates and the discussions, when people bring up these perspectives and ideas and accusations, and they give them ask them a reason, a lot of times there's no concrete evidence. They just, the media said this, or he said this on Twitter, and it's just one of those things where there's a lot of bias going on. People aren't doing their own research, and I think, and this is why I say I want to make this an open discussion, because I want people to realize, like, at the end of the day, do your own research. Don't just tie yourself down to one political party, because I grew up as a Democrat, and then I ended up not hating Trump. So it's just one of those things where let's be open-minded, and that's why I love Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro. I know Steven Crowder is usually associated with being a Republican, and I'm not too sure about Ben Shapiro, but they make really good points, and that's what I'm saying. That's the whole point of this conversation and my podcast. It's just to start a conversation, get you to open up your eyes and get you to open up your mind and learn new things, because a lot of people, they just they don't do research, they don't do any of their own research themselves. They listen to their friends who tell them, oh no, this is right, this is wrong, don't think that wrong, think the right, and a lot of times they're wrong. So it's one of those things where you get out, do your own research, learn your own thing, become your own person. That's what I do, and it makes my life easier. I'm not filled with hate. I don't hate anybody. When I hear Trump, I don't scream and yell, and that's not trying to knock people who are liberals or hate Trump. It's just a lot of people harbor hate for Trump supporters, and it's just like, why? Why? I mean, life is too short to have all that hate, and that's the biggest reason why. That's the main reason why I don't get involved in politics. Don't talk to people about the politics, because a lot of people don't have research. They don't have no facts. They don't have nothing to support their claims. They just go around saying Trump is this and this and this. And then when you ask them why, why do you hate him for this? And they have nothing to tell you. They just say, oh, my friend told me. Or I was watching a YouTube video and this guy did a reaction to it. It's just like, there's no evidence, there's no facts. I need the facts. People just argue based off opinion, and that ties into my last point, is that a lot of people are just opinionated, and it comes down to being stubborn. A lot of people, because they're Republican or they're far left, they just stick that way. They won't learn anything new about Republicans. They won't learn about, Republican won't learn something new about the far left. and people are just unwilling to learn about anything. And so when they get presented with facts, one thing I would say is go check out Change My Mind by Steven Crowder. It's a really good, I know a lot of people hate Steven Crowder, but it's a really good series. This is exactly what I'm trying to do on this podcast. Is go watch it. Go watch how some of these the arguments that happen, even with students. He'll have videos with students, and it's one of those things where like people just their arguments just have no basis. And I'm not gonna say you're right or wrong about having an opinion, but if you're gonna have a strong opinion and call somebody out, have some facts, have some opinions, and especially with politics, a lot of people just go based off their own opinions and their own feelings, and there's no science or facts or anything behind it. It's just fuel outraged emotion, and it's one of those things where it's an interesting watch. You should go check it out. Steven Crowder Changed My Mind. Then you also have the Ben Shapiro videos that everybody knows. But take the time to go research, and so it's one of those things where, I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think my viewpoints are better than anybody else, but I will tell you, if you call me a homophobe or a racist, I'm gonna call you out on it. And it's definitely one of those things where you can't just judge somebody just because their political views are different than yours. Life is way too bigger than that. We can't be fighting racism, but still fight, still say hate speech about political views. It's the exact same thing. It's just all hate being circled around. And so, I'm glad I was able to have this conversation. I'm not gonna make this too long. Definitely, my points are, politics is very. There's a lot of bullshit that goes on, a lot of nonsense, a lot of hate, a lot of biasness, and just a lot of people not fact checking their statements. People just spout whatever they want, and just not learning. Be open minded. Especially if you're gonna preach being open minded. Be open minded yourself. And politics is not going to go away anytime soon, and I'm probably going to do another podcast about it, hopefully with another guest, and we could talk about we can educate everybody on Republicans and Democrats and stuff like that, because I'm not too well versed, but I have an idea of them, especially with all the knowledge I've accumulated over the years. But take what you will, but I'm here to open up the discussion. I know a lot of people have opinions about politics and can't have them with other people because they get shamed for it, or people will target them for it. So if you have any questions, you want to get involved, you want to talk about this stuff, let me know. Go shoot me a message on Instagram at Mr. No Days Off Percy. And let's get some guests on the show. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about these conversations. Let's have fun. And again, a helping hand is a better hand. And I'm looking forward to the journey and many more. So be smart, be safe, stay at home, no looting, and that's it. Controversial Topics out.